Okay, so this is a little video about our trip on Pacific Adventure. We went to New Caledonia and Vanuatu. This was recorded on the 6th of June 2023. And we're just going to give you a tour around the boat. Right now we're going down the stairs. This is the aft staircase from deck 7 down to Dragon Lady on deck 6. The only way you can get to the Dragon Lady restaurant is on deck 6. And this is the restaurant here. So Dragon Lady is kind of an Asian fusion restaurant. It is the only restaurant that we weren't particularly happy with all the food with. Not that there was anything really wrong with the food, but some of it was just a bit unusual. The garlic rice wasn't really to my liking, and some of the other food was just a bit strange. But it was all very nice food, and it is one of the many complimentary restaurants here on Pacific Adventure. You do need to book for a table in the evenings, but the food is included in your price. Of course, there is every restaurant has a couple of meals on the menu that cost extra, so just be careful when you're ordering that you don't order from the indulgence section. Those meals they're often quite pricey too. They're usually around the $30 to $35 mark. But when everything else on the menu is free, you sort of don't really need to be ordering the paid for things. And I have heard a couple of stories of people who have on the boat accidentally ordered that without realising that it was one of the ones that costs. So this is back on the stairwell, the aft stairwell on deck 7, and we're just going towards the starboard side now. And I think we're just going to go out on the promenade deck. This deck does actually go right around the outside of deck 7, but on the day that I recorded this, the area to the aft of the door I just came out of was actually roped off, so I couldn't go around the back. And I'm not sure if I've actually been around the back at all during this trip. I'm not sure if it's been roped off the whole trip, but I certainly haven't seen it when I've gone out there that it's open. Along here is where the lifeboats are. This is also the side of the boat where we first walked onto the boat when we were at Sydney, and onto this deck, and then you just enter into deck 7 when you first get on the boat. The boats above us are lifeboats, but there is also some of them that they use as tender boats. So a couple of we went to a couple of smaller islands. We went to Mystery Islands in Vanuatu and Leifau, I think it's called, in New Caledonia. I probably butchered that pronunciation. Apologise for that. But both those islands were smaller islands where there wasn't a dock that the main ship could pull up to, so they just anchor offshore and use the tender boats to take customers into shore. And there can be a wee bit of a wait at times for the tender boats. Obviously, there's about 3,000 people on our cruise, and I understand the boat's not fully full to capacity either. So, but there was still a bit of a wait at certain times to get on the tender boats to either get off the boat or to come back on. And we're getting up near the front of the boat now, and we'll just go up these stairs here to deck 8, and the promenade deck continues on deck 8 around this part of the boat. Let's get a bit of a closer look at one of the lifeboats there. They're fully enclosed. The ones that we use to go to shore actually have a few seats up on top as well. And just here, you're actually walking in front of people's balconies, so that's something that's a little unusual on this boat. Most of the cruise ships you don't walk in front of people's balconies, but there's only about 4 or 5 rooms there if that's the case. And I'm not sure if anyone's in those rooms or not. Inside these windows you can't really see because some of them are sort of almost a mirrory tinted finish or something like that, but I think it's actually crew areas. It looks like there's actually a gym in there and some sort of library or something for the crew to use inside those rooms. And we're just coming right up to the very bow of the boat now, right at the front. And the couple of times I came out here, I never saw anyone out here. It's quite windy when you're underway out in this area of the boat. And this is the bow, the point of the bow right here. It's even side to side. And on the day that I recorded this, it was there was a little bit of swell too. There's a sort of 2 to 3 meter swell. So the boat is moving a bit. So if you notice the camera's rocking around a bit, I have tried to stabilise it a wee bit, but there's only so much I can do. And again, I can't see what's in the windows there, but I presume that's sort of crew area as well. And as we come down the port side here, we will go back down some stairs again, back down to deck 7, and in front of another few balconies as well. And of course there's more lifeboats on the port side. And there was actually a little bit of water on the deck there this morning. I'm not sure if that's from overnight or I think there might have actually been a wee bit of rain last night. So that's the balconies there. You can just see the side of the boat there. This is that we're steaming along on our way back to Sydney. It's actually one of the longer cruises that goes to this area. I think we're on an 11-day cruise. So we've got 2 days out to New Caledonia. We've got 4 port days in both New Caledonia and Vanuatu, and we just pulled up last night from our last port day and are now on our way back, and we've got 3 sea days to get back to Sydney. And now we're back down on deck 7 on the port side, and just walking under those lifeboats again. And some of them are tenders. You can actually tell the ones that they use as tenders because the tender ones have 2 engines, whereas the ones that just as lifeboats seem to just have 1 engine. So you can see that one's a lifeboat, but other than that, they appear to be almost identical. I presume they have similar capacity for people on board, etc. And just along here, there's also some inflatable lifeboats as well. Hopefully we don't need to use those. One piece of news, there was on the previous cruise before our one, there was a fire on deck 10 in one of the rooms. I believe it was caused by somebody smoking a cigarette, but I'm not 100% on that. When we got on board the boat, we were actually booked into one of the rooms that was only a couple of doors down from where the fire was. And when we got to our room, they were painting the balcony area, basically the overhang over top of our balcony, is white, and it was you could tell the one next door was covered in soot, and that one had just been freshly painted. Literally, we were quite early boarding too. We got on the boat before 12, and they said the rooms would be ready at 12:15. And when we went there, they were just leaving our room with their paint buckets and ladders and things. And then the very next day we got moved, and we've been upgraded to a mini suite instead, so we're now no longer near the fire. It did look like the rooms either side of the one that went on fire were smoke damaged, but that my understanding is that the fire was contained to just a single room, and it looked like they were airing out some of the furniture on the balcony. There was a faint smell of smoke in the hall, just right outside the room that went on fire, but other than that, we've not noticed any smoke smell or any adverse effects from that fire. And so now we've just come back in the port side onto deck 7, and we've just walked across to the starboard side and into the Black Circus Theatre. This is the theatre where they do the Blanc de Blanc Uncorked, and they also have comedy shows in here, and I've also been to the odd seminar in here and things as well. There's some informative seminars and things during the cruise, which is quite interesting. There's always something interesting to do every day. There's usually things throughout the day and in the evening in the two theatres. This is the smaller of the two theatres at the rear of the ship, and up the front of the ship is the bigger theatre, which we'll go along and have a look at soon. And so now we're just walking down the starboard side of deck 7. This is where the photos are. They have cameramen around the boat and on the wharfs and things on shore days taking photos, so you can get photos throughout the cruise. They're a little bit pricey, but they do take some good photos. This is one of the restaurants. This is 400 Gradi. I believe this is a pizza restaurant. We haven't actually eaten there yet. I think we're going to eat there one night though in the next couple of days. Tonight we're going to go to Luke's Bar, which is the other paid for restaurant, and all the other days we've been going around and trying out all of the complimentary restaurants that are included with their fare. It should be quite a good restaurant though, I think. And just next door to 400 Gradi is the Blue Room, which I'll show you now. This is the Blue Room. This is a bar, and they often have live music in here in the evenings. I think it's supposed to be kind of styled after sort of a jazz club type vibe, but I'm not sure that jazz is the only music they play. They sort of have bands on board that sort of move all around the boat, so there's often live music in various places around the boat in the evenings. But yeah, it's a nice place to just come and have a wee drink. This is also where we come to get tender tickets on the days when we go to shore on the tender boats. And it is this area of the ship on the starboard side here is also muster point C, which happens to be my muster point as well. One of the things a lot of people ask about is how they do the safety checks on the first day. The first day we boarded the boat on the side, and the guy was there for muster point C, and we scanned our card almost immediately as we walked on the boat. So that was quite good to get that done, and then we just had a video in our room to watch with all the safety information. So it's really easy compared to what I've heard a lot of people used to have to do on cruise ships. This is actually our first cruise, so I don't actually know what the old system was like, but I thought that was a nice easy system. And being on deck 7 is I think all of the muster points are at various points on deck 7, so it's a nice easy ones to find. Deck 7 seems to be sort of the main deck. And so that's the Adventure Hotel that we've just gone through there. It's sort of styled after an Australian pub. They also have live music there. They also have karaoke and some sort of game shows and things there. And that's the mid stairwell. And just up here is the mid elevators. The mid elevators are separate from the stairwell. There is a couple of elevators adjacent to the mid stairwell, but they seem to be for staff only. They don't have buttons. They just take swipe cards. So only the staff can use those. And this is probably the most busiest elevator section. So there's actually a couple of extra elevators there. There's 4 behind, and there's 2 further forward. There's two further forward actually have glass that looks over the atrium. So we're now on the port side, just moving towards the aft again, back into the Adventure Hotel. So that's just another entrance into the Adventure Hotel. It's just the same from the side, and we'll go back forward again. We'll go towards the main atrium here. And there's just some shopping here. There's a jewellery and watch shop just on the left of the screen there, and this is the main, looking down over the main foyer. And this is another jewellery shop, Pandora Jewellery and Swarovski Crystal. And just in those elevators there is, in behind those leaves, is the elevators with the glass you can see out as you're going up and down. And we'll move further forward into the casino. At the time I recorded this was about 5 or 6 in the morning, so the casino was actually closed, but you can still walk through and see what's there. There's the cages just on the port side there, and it's mostly pokie machines. There's one coin pusher circle of machines, and over the other side is the tables. It's the bar in the casino. And further forward now towards the Marquee Theatre and the forward staircase and elevators. There's another door there out to the promenade. It's the staircase and elevators in the forward of the ship. And we're still on deck 7. And this is the Marquee Theatre in here. Now there's 4 entrances into the Marquee Theatre. There's one on either side, port and starboard. And also there's another 2 on deck 6 down below, both on port and starboard as well. It's a much bigger theatre. This is where some of the bigger shows are. This is where the bingo has been on our boat. There seems to be bingo twice a day on sea days. And they also have some trivia games and things as well. I think some of that's been in here too. And we'll go across to the starboard side again, and we're now moving aft back out of the Marquee Theatre towards the casino, so I can show you the other side of the casino. And there's this little hallway that goes down and just comes out at the staircase and the elevators. Just want to show where that went. Yeah, this is four elevators at the front of the boat. And the door out to the promenade. And those tables there, I think one is roulette, and I'm not sure what the other one was. We've got table roulette and then table blackjack, and there's a poker table over towards the outside starboard side, and there was actually a electronic blackjack in the corner there too. And now we're slowly moving aft again, still on the starboard side, and there's a wee sort of a cafe bar on this side. It's closed at the moment, but there's a place to sit. I found usually moving around the boat, there's always quite easy to find places to sit. And we're just going to move down the staircase now down to deck 6. You can see there's an ATM machine there and some more shopping. That shop I think had sort of Billabong clothes and the adventure shop it's called. And it had a few other things, and there's duty-free alcohol as well. A little note on the duty-free alcohol. They don't allow, that's guest services too. They don't allow you to hang on to any duty-free alcohol you buy, whether you buy it on the boat or at port. When you board the boat again, they will confiscate the alcohol from you and then give it back to you when you arrive back at your home port. This is Luke's Bar and Grill. This is one of the other paid restaurants. 400 Gradi is the only paid sit-down restaurant. And we are planning to eat here tonight. Give that one a try. Looks like a nice sort of steakhouse style restaurant. And it's open kitchen. and look around. So hopefully we'll enjoy that. And so these restaurants usually take up the full width of the boat. Some of these paid ones that have a corridor down one side, it's usually down the starboard side for all of them, but they go all the way to the port side of the boat, so there's no corridor past them on the port side. So yeah, just when you're getting around, if you find you can't go down one side, just check the other side of the boat. The only place you can't get to via corridors from front to back is Dragon Lady. The Dragon Lady restaurant you can only access from the rear stairwell, from deck 7 going down the stairwell. So we're now moving forward on the boat again. And this here is the forward stairwell and elevators. Just here, again. And then just forward of that is Luke's Bar. So it's a little confusing because this bar has the same name as the restaurant we were just in, but this one is just a bar. The doors were actually closed when I came through at this time in the morning, but they're all unlocked, so I'll just give you a look around. So it's just a wee bar. This is where we had the whiskey tastings and tequila tastings and things like that. And you also had to come here and find this bar in order to sign up for it, which actually made it a little difficult to sign up for things, but it's not too bad. And further forward of that is the other entrance into the Marquee Theatre. So I'll just show you there into the Marquee Theatre. There's a wee stairwell to get into the Marquee Theatre, so it does make it a wee bit difficult for people that are a little less able-bodied, but yeah, that's the Marquee Theatre. I think from deck 7, if you're in a wheelchair or something, you can access that ramp that we went down earlier from the staircase on deck 7 into the top entrance into the Marquee Theatre, and you can just sit right up the back at the top, and you don't have to go down any stairs. And back to the stairwell on deck 6. And you have to go back over to the starboard side to go down that hallway past the restaurant again. There is no hallway through this area on the port side, it's only the starboard side. And that takes us back to the floor again, and that wee machine that you saw off to the side there, that one there, that is where you can top up your cruise card, or you can also book shore excursions or future cruises, I believe, from that machine, although I haven't actually used that one myself. And the ATM there. And this is just the other mid stairwell and elevators. Those elevators, again, you can't use those ones, they're for the crew only, but there is just forward of those, there is the main elevators that you can use. And on this side here is Angelo's restaurant, so this is on the port side. We'll just go in here and have a wee look around. Again, this was early in the morning, so the restaurants are all closed, but just gives you an idea what it looks like. It's a reasonable sized restaurant. We actually quite enjoyed this restaurant. I ate here. We've eaten here a couple of nights now, and it was very good. Yeah, and they've sort of got the restaurants divided up into little areas, so that you're in your own little area. Don't feel like you're in a huge crowded restaurant. And Angelo's is one of the complimentary restaurants, so it doesn't cost you anything extra to eat here, but you do need to make reservations for dinner. Angelo's is not open for lunch. I don't think. It's just a dinner only restaurant. The Waterfront is open for both breakfast and lunch, and the pantry. And the only two paid for restaurants are Luke's Bar and Grill and 400 Grady. So we're just going back to the main elevators now, and we're going to go down to the deck 5, which is the foyer. I'll just show you the glass elevators. My partner was a wee bit worried when we first got on the boat that the glass elevators might be a bit scary with vertigo and things, but with that pattern on them, they're actually quite fine, we found. Didn't mind them at all. So now we're down on deck 5 in the foyer of the atrium, and there's a couple of cafes on this side. This is the port side, and there's a nice wee sitting area here. You can see there's a wee miniature grand piano in the middle there where they have live music. In the evenings they always have live music there, and it's quite a nice wee place to sit. And there's another bar on the other side, and this is called the Destination Lounge. This is where you come to book shore excursions and future cruises and things like that. And you can actually book on the wee kiosks if there's no one there, but they do man this desk at certain times as well. If you want to actually speak to someone about, if you have any questions about them, that sort of thing. And I think just forward of here is just people's rooms. I think there's a few rooms on these lower decks. And this is the forward stairwell and elevators, which you can access through there, and these hallways just go to people's rooms. So I'm not going to show you down there because I recorded this quite early in the morning. I didn't want to wake anybody up, but I'll just tiptoe back through to the Destination Lounge. And we're now over on the starboard side, heading aft again past those forward stairwell and elevators, and back towards the Destination Lounge. Would be a very, very central location to get a room if you didn't want a balcony room. You have a sea view and internal room right there on the same floor as the lobby. The lobby is a reasonably busy spot on the boat, and we're just heading down starboard again. I'll just show you this little bar that they have off to the side of the lobby there. You often see people all through the day sitting there playing cards, or when they have the live music on, listening to the music. This is the Essentials shop. This is it's got snacks and lollies and toothpaste, toothbrushes, all those sorts of things, sunscreen, anything you might need. And this is the arcade. I believe this is just a new addition to the boat. I think this used to just be like a library or something, a little lounge that wasn't getting used very much. So they've turned it into a wee arcade for the kids. There's a few fun games and things. I believe that they can pay for the arcades with their room key cards, but I believe there is some way that you can restrict how much your kids can spend in there, because wouldn't want them to rack up a huge bill. It's the keyhole game thing. We can win some prizes. And we're back to the mid stairwell again, and now heading forward again to show you where the main elevators are in the mid elevators. So the elevators are broken into two groups. There's two, they have the glass, and there's four together. and they're operated on separate buttons because they actually go to different floors. So the main 4 elevators only go from deck 5 to 14, whereas the other 2 will go either lower or higher. I think the mid ones go down to deck 4 or maybe even lower for when you go to a short excursion by tender, you can use those elevators to get down lower, and they go higher as well. And this is the Waterfront restaurant. And this is kind of the main dining room, equivalent to the main dining room on this boat. You don't normally get assigned seating unless you specifically request it. I believe if you're used to traditional cruising where you get assigned a table and eat there every night, then you can request that. But in general, they don't do that unless you request it. So we've eaten here a few times. We've had breakfast here a few times, and they always seat us something different. As you can see, there is sort of 2 little tables for 2 right quite close to each other. So you do often get sat with strangers next to you. But we've quite enjoyed that aspect. You usually meet some new people and have a wee chat while you're eating. And it's quite a nice wee aspect of the cruise. And because you're always beside someone different, it's always someone new that you meet when you're dining. And there are a couple of private tables you do occasionally get. Just a table for 2 on your own, or sometimes they just won't have anyone booked in the table next to you at the same time, depending on how things work out. And now we're back to the main elevators at the lobby. And I believe in these ones, the 4 elevators that I'm at here are the ones that will go higher or lower than deck 14 and deck 5. And the 2 with the glass on them only go from deck 5 to deck 14. So now we've now gone up to deck 14, and we're just going to head out to the pool area. So this here is the main pool in the middle of the boat, and you can see there's deck 15 above as well that overlooks the pool. And on this deck there's some lounges and stuff which are undercover. And this is also the deck that the pantry is on as well, and also a couple of restaurants here. This is Gradi Pronto on the side, which is sort of takeaway pizza restaurant, and then there's a bar in the middle, and on the other side is Luke's Burger Bar, which is the takeaway burger restaurant. And that is about as far forward as you can go on deck 14. Further forward of that is all goes indoors to people's rooms. And there's more rooms on this floor. Just going through these doors here. You can see it's just hallways with people's rooms in it. And the forward stairwell and elevators is just in here. So here's the forward stairwell and elevators. And we'll just go back out towards the pool. We're now heading aft again. And we'll come out around beside Gradi Pronto again on the pool deck, on deck 14. And yeah, we've just gone past Gradi Pronto there. And I'll just go and show you over on the other side. So we're back over on starboard side again now. And heading aft past the main pool. You can just see a glimpse of the big screen TV that's up above the pool there. They play movies on that throughout the day and into the evenings as well. And just after where we are here is the ice cream bar. This is the Pure Joy New Zealand ice cream. This is one of the other paid venues. Everything here you have to pay for. I haven't actually tried it yet, actually. There's apparently some quite nice cookies there as well. And then past that, going further aft, is the indoor family pool. Of course, the area of the Megradome. I believe the roof can open, but I haven't actually seen it open. There's a couple of spa pools in here as well as a swimming pool. They do allow children, if they're supervised, to be in the spa pools, so they tend to fill up during the day, these ones. And there's a wee bar there for the parents to have a drink as well. And just like the main pool, there is a sort of balcony area above that where you can overlook the pool. And I think there's some table games up there, table tennis and things. And now we're going into the pantry. This is the buffet restaurant. Yeah, the pantry. And so I'll just walk around here. At the time I recorded this, they were just setting up for breakfast. For breakfast, they tend to do the same thing on each half of the pantry. But for lunch and dinner, each of those little areas is like a different style of food. So they have I believe that one there is a Mexican one. There's a Asian one. There's a seafood one. There's a roast meats and veggies type of one, and there's a Italian style one as well, I think. And this is sort of the dessert bar. In the breakfast they have pastries and things there, and for lunch and dinner they'll have desserts, and also beside that's the drinks bar where you can buy drinks. And then if we move through the tables here, in each of the four corners of the pantry, so there's one forward and one aft of this room, is this drinks bar here, which has tea, coffee, and water. And at breakfast time, they also have orange juice and apple juice. And we're now moving further aft, and this area here has just got more seating in it for the pantry. On this side, it is just pantry seating. On the other side, I think in the evening, it turns into the Shell and Bones restaurant, but it looks exactly the same as on this side. And we haven't actually eaten there on our trip. I'm not sure if it's even open on our trip, to be honest. But it looks identical. They just have a desk for the maitre d'. And this is the Oasis bar at the back. This is the adults only area. So if you want to go and get away from kids running around, you can come out here, and it's 18 and over. And there's just a pool here and a bar and a few lounge chairs in the area here. This is also the area where they have the LGBT meetups in the evenings most days. So they just sort of set a time there if you want to meet up with like-minded people. And there was also some singles meetups times earlier on in the cruise, although they haven't been doing those as often. And this deck here, I'm not sure really what's on this deck here. It's kind of just overlooking that Oasis bar. So we're now going up to deck 16. That was deck 15. Now we're up to deck 16. And up here, there is another couple of spa pools and the sunset bar. Now these spa pools here, because they're a wee bit off on their own and separated from the other pools and things, I actually found that they were a little less utilised during the day. So if you want to have a spa pool, go in the spa pool, it's a good place to go and find these two. And they often don't have the kids in them and things that the ones at the family pool do. And so they get a lot less use. The area does get busy at night time in the evenings when people are sort of partying and things. And we'll just go up these stairs and show you what's up here. As you can see, this video was taken early in the morning while we're at sea. And just up here is the sports court. This is a wee basketball court. You can shoot a couple of hoops or what have you if you're into that sort of thing. Not really my cup of tea when I'm on holiday, but they've got facilities there, and people do use them. I think it's about all that's up here. And we'll just go down, and I might go indoors here. This is the Altitude nightclub. So I just went back down to deck 16 and went in the upper floor of stairs, and you can see we're just going over top of those bars that we saw just before. They're just out the window here. That's the Sunset Bar out there, and you just walk up this walkway. There's actually a travelator in the middle. Of course, this time of night it wasn't operating, but in the evenings I believe they have the travelator operating. So you can come up here to the nightclub, and it's quite a unique feature of the P&O boats. They have this big nightclub sort of suspended up over the back of the boat. Kind of looks like a shopping trolley handle on the back of the boat. But yeah, it's got some nice seating areas around here. There's some funny little stairs we go down and up in the middle there. I actually worked out that those are actually to give you access to the two pillars that hold the nightclub up on the back of the boat. There must be emergency exit stairwells down those pillars. In case of an emergency, they can open that up and allow people to clear out a bit easier. But you can see there's lots of little wee seating areas with quite a good view out the back of the boat and the sides of the boat. This is the dance floor area here, obviously. Wee bars for you to put your drinks on while you're dancing and what have you. And more seating area over this other side. Moving back to the starboard side now. And yeah, lots of nice little quite cozy seating areas. I quite like this area. Yeah. And on the side there's also the funny wee stairs that go down and back up again. And I believe just down here is the emergency exit. I'm pretty sure that's what that's for. There's a wee bar in that corner, and then there's another bar over here close to where you come in. So you can get your drink as you're coming in. And then go and find your seat. And then it's just down this long walkway again to get back to the rest of the boat. There's some twinkle lights on the roof that look quite cool in the night time. And we're just overlooking the Sunset Bar there again with the spa pool. As we walk down the sloped hallway back to the elevators. So on the plans they actually refer to the Oasis Bar as Deck 18, but it's really just an extension of Deck 17. And I don't think there's any elevators that go higher than 17. And there's only 2 elevators that actually go to 17 there. And for most of our crews, at least one of them has been not operational. And I think at one stage both of them were not operational. But I actually saw them do repairs on one of them yesterday, I think, and they're both operational again. Now back on deck 16, and if we go out this door, we'll be back at the Sunset Bar with the spa pools. If you enjoy a spa, that's the spa pools to try and go to during the day, and they'll be a lot less crowded. And we can just walk down some stairs, moving further forward on the port side now. You can just see in here, this is that top balcony deck around the family pool that I was talking about earlier. We'll go in a minute and show you what's inside of there. And we're still moving forward on the port side. And then this is the area above the main pool. You There's a nice big area where they put out lounge chairs. There's the stairwell to go up to the edge activities. So if you're a bit of a thrill seeker, they have a flying fox up there. They have climbing walls, climbing ropes. It's also the access for the water slides, all those sorts of things. We haven't paid for the edge pass, but a lot of fun if you've got kids. Things they've got lots of fun activities, and it's just a view over the main pool area. Walk around, and of course there's a bar here as well for you to get drinks overlooking the pool. And if we just walk further forward, we're now on the starboard side. Forward, and for some reason at this time of day they actually had this walkway closed off, but I have previously been all the way forward along that walkway, and you can actually get on top of the bridge. And this is the spa area here, and this is the stairwell and elevators. This is where the kids areas are. They have kids clubs for several different age groups, and I believe they're free during the day, so you can drop your kids off there while you go and get some much needed R&R. And yeah, that deck just goes further forward as well. Yeah, you can actually go and stand up on top of the bridge deck, over top of where the captains drive the boat from. And they also have a edge activity where you can actually go over the rails and stand on top of the bridge, which is probably quite a cool thing too. And we've just got some steps up here. You can go up a couple of flights of stairs and get on top of the building there. So we sort of look at area up on top, another layer up from where we are now. But this area here, they just have a green space in the middle here, and then further forward of that is the Byron Bay Club area. In that area, they have a swimming pool and more lounges, more luxurious lounges, and because it's a private area that only the Byron Club members can access, it's a bit more private. I can't actually go in there because I don't have a Byron Plus room. So this is for the people that buy the more expensive suites. They get access to the Byron Club area. It's a slightly more private area with slightly better lounges and their own pool. But that green area that I'm in now is public, and I believe they actually do a wee bit of bowls in there sometimes. And sometimes they have lounges set out there. If you want a more private area and can't find a lounger, you can go and sunbathe there. And I'll just go and see if we can get another wee look in this Byron area. There's not Byron Beach Club, it's called here. You can't really see much today because they've got covers over the lounges because of the time of day it is, but they are more luxurious lounges, and I think they have bigger, almost daybed type ones further forward. And there's actually glass around the front there, so you can see out the front of the boat while we're underway, and it's a bit more protected from the wind as well. It's just a nice perk you get for paying for the more expensive room. And there's a staircase there to go up higher onto a wee lookout deck there. And now we're looking aft at the main screen where they play movies and things over the main pool. And we're just coming back down to this bar here. You see that wee trolley there, that's a little bar that they all move around when there's events on. So they have little bars close to where the people are, which is quite good. You can always just go up and order a drink. I'll note about the drinks packages. There's about 3 different levels of drinks packages they have on this boat. They all cost extra above your ticket. We chose to get the non-alcoholic drinks package, which has been quite good. We can basically get Pepsi and Pepsi drinks of different flavours, and Schweppes lemonade, Schweppes ginger ale, things like that, for free as much as we want to drink it. And the alcoholic drinks packages, I think there's 2 levels. The lower level goes up to about $10 or $11 a drink, and the higher level was up to something like $15 a drink. But they were quite pricey, so we decided not to go ahead with that. And we don't drink a lot anyway, so we've decided just to pay for our alcoholic drinks as we drink them. But it's up to you what you want to do. So now we're back in the family pool area, and I'm just going to go upstairs and show you the wee balcony area around the family pool. So if you've got kids, you can sort of keep an eye on them from up here. And there's some lounge chairs up here to sit on, and there's also some games, some table games here. There's a table tennis, foosball. I think there's a couple of table tennis tables there, and looks like there's another one they can set up if they want to, if they're having. I think they actually have an organised table tennis competition at some point during the cruise as well, if you're into that. And yeah, so that's that area there, and then it just goes back out onto the deck 15 where we were before around the main pool. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed my video. I'm planning to do another video where I go over some of what was in the good times during our cruise, just to give you an idea what sort of events they have on during the day. There's always been something interesting on every day for us to do. We've not been bored at all during this cruise, and we've had a great time. So keep an eye out for that video. I'll be posting that soon as well. And hopefully you've enjoyed this tour around the boat. If you have any questions about anything on the boat, please feel free to ask. The currency on the boat is the Australian dollar, but it is a cash-free boat, so you just pay for everything with your room key. You can load cash onto your room key card, or you can link it to a credit card, and then they just automatically debit your credit card at the end of each day. But yeah, that's how the money system works on the boat. When you go ashore in the countries that we went to, at least, we didn't need to use our passport. We could just board and re-enter the boat with our cruise card, room key card. And so yeah, your room key card just does everything really, and it makes for a very stress-free holiday. So yeah, we've really enjoyed our first cruise, and I recommend it to anyone else who wants to do the same. Please like and subscribe to my video, especially if you want to see. I've got another couple of videos that I'm going to work on as well. I want to do a room tour of our mini suite room that we're in, and also that video I spoke about earlier with the good times, what's been on during our cruise. You can get an idea of what sort of events and things there are. We've really enjoyed this cruise. There's been plenty to do, and hopefully you also enjoy my video. And I'm just going to end this video with a short clip from the Gatsby party that we had one of the last nights of the cruise. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe so that you get notified. Ring the little bell and you'll get notified of those future videos that I'm going to post as well. Thank you.